Welcome to the webinar on the online Masters of Plant Breeding organized by Wageningen University. We are presenting this webinar with two staff involved. And when you have questions during the webinar, please type them in the chat button, the orange chat button. And part of the questions will be answered throughout the webinar and others afterwards. So my name is Anja Kuipers and I'm Program Director for this online Masters as well as other Masters programs at Wageningen University. And I'm co-presenting today with Jan-Kees Goud.
Hi, my name is Jan-Kees and I'm a study advisor and program developer of the online Masters. And as you can see, compared to my picture, I'm having my winter fur right now.
So before we start with the presentation itself, we would also like to get to know you a bit. So our first question to you would be, where are you from? Are you from the Netherlands, from Europe or outside Europe? You can answer this in the poll. And in the meantime, I'll explain to you the setup of today's presentation. So I will start with some general information on Wageningen University and research, a bit of detail on the laboratory of plant breeding, which is the most important group involved in this program, then some general aspects of the online master, and details on the admission requirements, tuition fees and other administrative stuff. And in the second part of the presentation, Jan-Kees will explain more details on the courses of the program and how the online platform for the online learning is organized. So getting back to the poll, let's have a look at your country of origin. Jan-Kees, can you give an update?
Yeah, I think the poll is still open, so the last answers are coming in. Refreshing. So you can choose between coming from the Netherlands, coming from another European country, and coming from a non-European country. So let me see. Yes, I'm having the first results. Well, we're all from Europe, so that's quite special. Oh, no. It's still, yeah, it's still answering, coming in. Yeah, we're almost there. So I think now about most of you have answered. Some don't know or don't want to say maybe, but about half, 47% are from Europe. So another European country other than the Netherlands. But also we have 35% from non-European countries and 18% from the Netherlands. So yeah, we have a quite mixed group, and yeah, that's what we normally see in the master.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So it's quite typical of the general population in the online master. So and that really adds to the interactions between students with people coming from different countries. Yeah. Okay, nice. Then I'll continue with some general information on Wageningen University and research. So Wageningen University is top-rated among students. We score very high on various international rankings, both related to sciences, agricultural and biological sciences, but also regarding its education. For example, in the Times Higher Education rankings, but also within the Netherlands, Wageningen University has been rated for best university for more than 15 years on a row. So that's a good indication of the high quality of the education that we offer. All our programs are officially accredited through the NVAO, which is the Dutch and Belgian accreditation organization for academic programs, and this also applies to the online master. So it's connected to the regular Master of Plant Sciences, and both are officially accredited. Well, more than 50% of our students are from abroad, and the university as a whole has over the years developed a huge alumni network. with over 86,000 alumni and also internationally spread. So it's quite an interesting community. And then specifically in plant breeding, the university has a 100-year track record in plant breeding. Actually, the Department of Plant Breeding is older than Wageningen University itself. So that's an interesting fun fact maybe, but still it's nice to know. Then plant breeding at Wageningen University. It's quite a wide domain that is under attention of this group within Wageningen University. The research deals with all different aspects of plant breeding, characterization, conservation, use of genetic material, and it combines academic research with an applied strategic expertise. So it's not only fundamental research that's being performed at this department, but also the applied side. So there's also quite close cooperation with different companies in the breeding industry. And also here, this is not restricted to the Netherlands, but also has a strong international perspective. Well, in the picture you can see the different topics that are being studied at the plant breeding department, and also that's a very broad offer, from quantitative aspects to bio-based economy, all different aspects of biotic and abiotic stress resistance, breeding for disease resistance, for example, and also aspects of quality, growth, development, and product quality are included in the research at the plant breeding department. So this really offers many opportunities to be involved in interesting research of high quality on a wide variety of topics. So this is a bit of the background behind the online masters. Wageningen University offers online masters since 2015. As I explained before, they are fully accredited master's programs, but with a specific target group. So the main target for the online masters is people that are currently already working in the plant breeding sector, but based on a bachelor degree. And the online master enables to combine a master level study with working in a plant breeding company or other obligations. Still, you have to realize that it's a master's program, so it's quite a challenge and also quite a study load that you have to take into account. So it is possible to combine the online master with a part-time job, but based on our experience, we don't recommend to combine this study program with a full-time job. I think that's correct, Jan-Kees, from your experience as study advisor?
Yes, indeed, it's very tough to do this next to a full-time job. And often this full-time job, tends to grow bigger and bigger, and you gain more responsibilities, etc. And that's if you have to travel and visit different sites and different conferences maybe, or at least breeding sites, then it's going to be very difficult to do that next to a study load of 20 hours.
That's true, yeah. But combined with a part-time job, it is very much feasible. And because the program started in 2015, by now we already have quite several graduates who successfully completed the online master and are very enthusiastic about what it added to their professional experience. So the online master allows to study from home through an online platform, and Jan-Kees will provide some additional details on the online platform later on. You're studying from home, but not all on your own. The study is provided to the group of students that start in the same academic year, so you also can cooperate and work as a cohort with fellow students, which makes it attractive. This slide shows the general structure of the program. There's quite a lot of detail, but the main things that I want to discuss now are that the general structure of the program is a fixed line setup of courses. So there's, all relevant aspects of plant breeding are covered by the total set of courses. The light blue boxes are the regular online courses on different topics. And then you can also see the dark blue boxes in the year 1 and year 2. Those are the Wageningen University weeks. So obviously most of the knowledge can be taught online, but there's also some practical experience that can't be taught online but has to be taught in a lab or in a greenhouse. And those aspects are being taught in Wageningen in these WURweeks. And these WURweeks also have the added value that you finally will meet your fellow students real life. Compared to online meetings, that's really that's always a nice opportunity for the students to meet each other in person. And furthermore, you see some green colored blocks, and they are included in the program for skills education, so how to write an academic paper, for example. And towards the end, the green blocks are evolving into the design of a full plant breeding program for a specific crop. So to do that, you need all the knowledge from the separate courses to include that knowledge to deliver a proper breeding program as a group project. So this overview includes the courses in year 1 and year 2. Then after that, there's year 3, if you study full-time by then, or year 3 and 4 for part-time study, where you have to work on the master thesis, an academic research project, which is preferably done at Wageningen University, and an academic internship. And for students that are currently working in a plant breeding company, there's the option to use that professional experience to meet the requirements for the academic internship. So further details on the program will come back later on and will be explained by Jan-Kees. Then, to get started with the program, you first need to be admitted. And to be admitted to the online master in plant breeding, you need to have a relevant academic background with sufficient knowledge at the bachelor level in genetics, plant physiology, statistics, and also a bit of molecular biology, preferably. So in general, this is covered by biology degrees in, for example, biology, agronomy, agro or general biotechnology, or life sciences. At least if you have something, a different type of bachelor degree, then still it is important that in some way you do have this knowledge in genetics, plant physiology and statistics. If not, there are also some possibilities to first do a pre-master to get well prepared for the online master, although that's sometimes a bit difficult because the pre-master is not easily organized online. So that's something for individual discussion. In addition to the content requirement for the bachelor, there's also a grade average requirement. That should be 70% of the maximum possible scale. Well, in the Netherlands, that means 7 on average. And on the internet of Wageningen University, we have a quite detailed overview of how this GPA requirement translates into grading scales of different universities. As the masters at Wageningen University are all being taught in English, it's also important that your English proficiency is up to the requirements. And for that, we require, for example, an overall IELTS score of 6.5 with a minimum of 6 for speaking. We also accept other English tests. And also here you can find additional details and information on the Wageningen University website. It is preferred, but not absolutely required, to have relevant working experience, for example, in a plant breeding company. And this really adds to what you can gain from the courses of the master. Yeah, before we continue with further information, we have another question for you regarding to this preferred professional background. Are you currently working already in the plant breeding sector? So that's an easy question. You can just type yes or no, and that will give us an overview of whether or not you are working in a plant breeding company. Okay, continuing on the required background knowledge. The most important topics are genetics and statistics. And so I'll introduce you to two textbooks that are also being used in the online master and which provide very useful background information also as a refresher maybe. So maybe you completed your bachelor already several years ago, and well, with genetics and statistics knowledge, the general trend is that when you don't use it that intensively, it tends to fade away. So then it's good to know that we recommend two textbooks, this one on genetics, Introduction to Genetic Analysis. It's also being used in some of the courses. So it's useful to get through this book to refresh your basic knowledge. And the same for statistics. This textbook, Statistical Methods and Data Analysis, is also being used in the master, and we recommend the chapters 1 up to 6 as a refresher of statistics knowledge that you probably had during your bachelor. Then, some information on the study expenses and possibilities for study grants, because we often receive questions on these aspects of the program. So for the upcoming academic year that will start in September 2022, the tuition fees for EU students will be a bit above 2,000 euros to 22.09 euros per year. For EU students without a Dutch master's degree, for students that already completed another Dutch master's degree, the tuition fees are higher. Then for non-EU students, the tuition fee is a bit above 10,000 euros per year. These study expenses are subject to change, but for now, these are the amounts that you have to take into account for the next academic year. Then in addition to tuition fees, you have to take into account the travel and living costs for the 2 on-campus weeks in year 1 and year 2. In addition, information on scholarships. There's a website that is, like you can see here, where you can find all relevant information on scholarships and grants. There's limited options, and furthermore, the grant applications are always highly competitive. So you really need to be kind of lucky to obtain a study grant if you need one. Okay, getting back to the poll, Jan-Kees,
yes.
Can you give an overview?
We have results, so indeed, 41% answered yes to the question whether they work in the plant breeding sector, so 41%. And well, that's very good, because I have to say to you, we had you in mind while we developed this entire program. And so 59% is not currently working in the plant breeding sector. But for you, I also have good news, because the online masters is really a carefully designed program which has limited gaps of knowledge between courses, because we develop them from scratch and connected to each other. And it also it doesn't have overlap. So it's a very good program preparing you for a job in the plant breeding sector, or maybe also in academia. So all is good, all is welcome.
Yeah.
So if you start your studies, or you consider starting, we expect some things from you while you are studying, and before you start to study, in fact. One thing is that you would need some computer skills, or you need to have someone close by whom you can ask for advice in case of trouble, because it's not so well possible for you to come to campus and to carry your laptop into the IT service desk if you have a problem. You're out there on your own and you need to solve many of those problems yourself. So it's good to have that, or to have it close at hand. Also, what's required is broadband internet. So if you only have that on your work and not at home, that can be a problem if you want to work during the evenings or during the weekends. Or nowadays, if you are in lockdown or in quarantine, it's very important that you have broadband internet at your home. So whenever you want to study, whenever you are motivated, you can sit right down and do some studies. And what's also important is that you are not only studying online because you want to remain silent, just listening in, just reading a little bit, but we ask of you to be actually, well, involved in the group that is studying along with you. Generally in education, it is true that the more you put in, the more you are engaged, the better the result. And that's also here. So we ask you to connect with fellow students and with teachers in an online learning platform. What's also important is that you have to work with deadlines. So you have to keep on track. Usually the deadlines are at the end of the week, typically at Sunday night. So it's up to you to decide when to do these assignments and when to put in most time, at the start of the week, at the end of the week, or every day a little bit, every morning, every evening. It's up to you. There's flexibility in the program, but it's flexibility within the week. And finally, you have to be involved in taking online proctored exams. So that means that you take an exam from your home, and while you take the exam, you are continuously being observed through your webcam, and your computer screen is also continuously monitored. And of course, that affects a little bit your privacy. But it has the advantage that you don't have to travel each time to the Netherlands and to Wageningen just to do the exam each time at the end of the course. So it has a lot of advantages. And to install that system, it's nice that you have a computer on which you have administrator rights, because you need to install a special program, and yeah, that's needed also for being able to take this online exam. So let's have a look a little bit in the topics that you will be taught during the course years. So during year one, you will start with basic courses on plant breeding, on genetics, population genetics, plant pathology, and plant biotechnology. So already by mentioning the titles of these courses, I think you get a grasp of what's more or less the basic topics that you will be starting with. And after that, there will be those practicum weeks, the WUR weeks. And during those WUR weeks, you'll be taking the practicums that go with the courses that you previously had. So after those Wageningen weeks, two more specialized advanced courses will be taught, advanced statistics, and a course on molecular markers and the use of molecular markers in plant breeding and in research. So year two, it is characterized by more advanced breeding courses. For example, breeding for abiotic stress tolerance, which deals with a tolerance for drought and saline conditions, heat stress, and things like that. So it's becoming more and more important worldwide in the light of climate change. Breeding for resistance against pathogens. Okay, yeah. and also breeding for quality. So we have a question.
Yeah,
good.
We received a question on the courses from Tim. What happens when I had already a few of these courses during a previous minor?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's.
I think it's relevant because we are explaining that it's a fixed line of courses.
Yeah.
But what to do if you already did some of these courses?
Well, some of these courses, they are, let's say, directly derived from on-campus courses. So on campus, there's, for example, a course breeding for abiotic stress tolerance, resistance, and quality, and we split up that topic in 3. So those 3 courses, they of course are, topic-wise, they are the same as that on-campus course. So if you already took that course, then we can maybe either do something with, how is it called? You don't have to take the course, but
elective courses.
Elective course, yeah. So you can take other courses instead. Yeah, that's the topic, or maybe other solutions. But of course, the entire program is a master program, and that needs to be 120 credits.
Yeah. Yeah, so the main line, and we organized that with previous students as well, that the study advisor and the students sit together to find out which elective courses might be useful as replacements.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, where were we? Somewhere in the middle of year 2. So 2 special courses. Specialized courses, experimental design and data analysis of breeding programs, and genomics and bioinformatics. And after that, again, there's the WURweeks 2. So the practicum weeks. And so, as Anja explained, at the end of year 2, there's this large project where you will be working on together with a group of students where you design a plant breeding program from scratch on a crop of your choice. And you will be incorporating all the knowledge that you learned in the previous courses. And at the very end of year 2, there's a kind of inspirational course on new trends and new topics in plant breeding. So yeah, you can use that maybe also to choose a topic for your thesis or for your internship, or just because it's new developments, and we want you to be aware of them. Well, after that, the master thesis and the internship needs to be taken. So only 2 more components, but they are very large components. And the master thesis, it takes 6 years of 6 months, not 6 years, fortunately, 6 months of full-time equivalent. So it can be spread out across among a longer time, but as long as the total time you put in is equivalent to 6 months. So it can be taken in Wageningen or in a breeding company, or usually a combination of that. So both have advantages and disadvantages. For example, if you take your thesis in Wageningen, then you are part of a larger academic research group, and that's a very nice learning experience, because you are there together with other master students, PhD students. A lot of meetings and discussions are possible, not only with your direct supervisor. But also it has disadvantages, because sometimes the labs are a little bit crowded, especially in these COVID times. Space is sometimes limited, also in the greenhouse. And of course in Wageningen we do a lot of research, but not on all the crops in the world. For example, if you want to do breeding research in cereals or mango trees, we currently do not plant breeding research on those crops. So if you work from your company and you get supervised by a staff member, so maybe staff member from Wageningen and you have online discussions, or maybe you come here to discuss the data and things like that, just for a limited amount of time, but doing the research and taking of the data in your home country, in your company. So then maybe you can combine the best of both worlds. The second large component is the internship, and that's really taken typically in a plant breeding company. It's 4 months full-time equivalent, and yeah, it can be arranged by the student. It has to be arranged by the student, and especially students that are already working in a breeding company, they have an advantage that they can do it in their own company. So if they run a project already as part of their work, they can use that experimental work as a basis for their internship report. So they have an advantage, a time advantage. For other students who are not currently working in a breeding company, this is an ideal situation, yeah, to get that experience. So let's look a little bit in how these courses look like. Oh, we have a question.
There's a question regarding exactly the information probably that you will provide here on this slide. So the question is, are the classes in the evenings? So maybe you can include that question when you are discussing this slide.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So what we set up the weeks as an asynchronous learning. So in fact, we have pre-recorded knowledge clips. We have pre-developed online material. We use books, e-books, and we have individual and group assignments and discussions. But most of the things, in fact, all the information that we provide is already provided, and you can be worked through by the student at his or her own time. And also, if we need to discuss about topics, we have a discussion platform and you can react on each other. So that's, let's say, the core of the program is organized in that way. And on top of that, we have some discussions, some live discussions, usually through Microsoft Teams or any other program. And then that happens to be usually during the evening, yeah. But it's not the core business. It's more like question hours and things like that. And I see also that students among themselves often meet and organize it like that, and then it also ends up usually during the evening. So this picture on the right, it already gives a glimpse of the different components that you have together with the information, the files, the links that you need to access the material, and also a small clock giving a time estimate on how long you should be working on that specific component. And also a small checkbox for yourself to be able to know where you left. And yeah, at the end of each course there's an exam, and most of the time the exam accounts for the major proportion of your mark for that course. We also have these skills weeks about finding information, scientific writing, giving presentations, etc. They also consist of clips and online material, but they are not finished usually with an exam, but with a portfolio. So you work through the material, and then you give a presentation, you post it, and you react on each other's posts as students, and then you get your tips and your tops, and then yeah, you make a plan for one next presentation, which you also keep, and then you reflect on how it went, etc. So the Varning weeks, yeah, of course they are designed and essential for giving the practicums that are associated with the courses that you have, so in the greenhouse or in the laboratory. of course, we are proud to have you finally here in Wageningen. But you have been working with your fellow students for more than half a year, sometimes very intensively, and then you finally meet each other. This is always a really nice happening if you just meet physically for the first time. So yeah, all by itself, these weeks are always full of social events, having dinners together, yeah, among the students, etc. So that's really nice. The same in year 2. What's then special is that you are in the middle of this design of plant breeding programs project, and you present as a group your proposal. And of course, being together here in a physical presence, this gives also a boost in the cooperation of that project, which then further is taken further online. You can also use these WURweeks too for orientation for your thesis, to find a topic or to speak to different staff, or if you already found a topic, to have the first meetings with your supervisor.
Yeah, in relation to this, I have another question coming in from Viras, who says, I'm employee in Bayer company, so can I do the 3rd year onwards at Bayer?
Yes, that's possible. That's possible. So the thing that we need is to have, let's say, a research topic where you'll be working on, and to have a match with a staff member that's also knowledgeable on that topic.
No.
So that's the most important thing.
And for the internship, it's possible anyway, I would say.
Yeah, for the internship, it's possible anywhere, because we have students in Wageningen going to all types of companies all the time. Yeah. Yeah, so we are coming towards the end of our programmed presentation. So let me summarize. The program is an internationally accredited program. It's 4 years part-time, but don't underestimate it. So you need to reserve about 20 hours per week. And it gives you an academic focus on plant breeding. So it educates you to become a plant breeder in a company, or a researcher in plant breeding research. So yeah, if this type of education appeals to you, then I invite you to be part of the new learning.
Yeah, we have some other questions that came in during the presentation. So
yeah, that's good.
That aligns quite well with this slide.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I just start with the first one that came in from Naomi.
Naomi, yeah.
Do the jobs in the Netherlands typically require Dutch understanding? Also, what sort of wage can be expected for entry-level positions? So I think in this respect it's good to realize that we are not only educating people for the Dutch plant breeding industry. So it's actually an international focus. And so we receive students from all around the world.
Yeah.
And we, our graduates also start to work all around the world, basically.
That's true.
So, and for jobs in the Netherlands require Dutch understanding. I suppose that you mean whether you can speak Dutch.
Yeah, it's very difficult to understand the Dutch people.
Yeah.
The behavior.
But the larger breeding companies also in the Netherlands have an international focus. So in general, it's possible to get around with English. But it's helpful if you also learn Dutch. And it's actually recommended and stimulated by some of the breeding companies I know.
Okay, yeah, we have also courses in Wageningen. That focus around. Yeah. But of course we have a lot of internship students coming from everywhere who don't speak Dutch and who still do their internship at places. So,
so
in principle it's
not such a big problem.
It's not a big problem.
And regarding entry-level wages, that's really very difficult to answer because it can be anywhere. So I don't dare to give an answer to that question.
Maybe even the audience knows this better. Some in the audience who work there or but work together with colleagues.
I'm not quite sure on how to answer this question.
No, we don't know.
So basically, I think then we continue to the next one. What are the costs of studying online? I'm from Mexico. So basically, Mexico is a non-EU country, so then the tuition fee is this amount of about slightly above 10,000 euros per year. Yeah. So that's the tuition fee that you have to take into account. And obviously also the costs of the trips to the Netherlands for the Wageningen Weeks. Then I would like to know if I can apply for a scholarship to this program. A question from Marco. As I explained, it is possible, but the scholarship opportunities are really very limited. I know that sometimes students get funded fully or partially by the companies where they are currently working, if they are already working in a breeding company. And otherwise, it's quite a challenge to get an internship, so difficult.
Okay.
Another question from Juan. How long time during the total duration of the master? And does the time during the thesis has a cost?
The time during the thesis has a cost because at that time you will be supervised, sometimes very intensively, by a supervisor. So that's indeed included in the...
It is education, basically. Yeah.
So the total duration, average, let's say 4 years, because that's usually a realistic time.
Yeah. Then another question, is it possible to access this presentation after the webinar? Yeah, as far as I've understood, the webinar is being recorded, so it will be made available shortly afterwards. For fellowships, when will be the deadlines usually? That very much depends on the fellowship. So there are different fellowships with different requirements. And a general remark here is that for most fellowship applications, you first need to have obtained an admission letter from Wageningen University as a basis for a scholarship application. So always applying for admission will be the first step.
And I think the fellowships, it's something between the student and the sponsoring organization. So it doesn't usually go through Wageningen University.
No, that's true. That's correct. Okay, let's see. If we live in the Netherlands already, is it possible to make use of the campus facilities even though the master is online oriented?
That's possible. So for the online courses, the exams will be online and not also on campus. But for the rest, you are officially then a student of Wageningen University. So you can, in principle, follow all the other courses as well. You can make use of the facilities. All of you with a WUR account will have access to the library. So that's not really a difference. But of course, if you are visiting here, you can access the papers and the books that are physically standing in the library. That's a thing.
Quite a lot of questions are popping in right now. So a quick one, a tuition fee for European students, that's slightly above 2,000 euros per year. When does the program start? The program starts annually in September. Then a slightly longer question probably, is there a way to shorten the time of this program? Well, I think that depends on whether you are already working in a breeding company. So when you are already working in a breeding company, then you can use your professional experience to get the requirements for the internship. Yeah. And also regarding the thesis, it depends on whether you can do the thesis in a full-time modus or whether you have to do it part-time.
Yeah.
So there are some options to shorten the time of the program, but all in all, you have to meet all the requirements to get the master diploma. So yeah.
And I think also if the students are paying the European tuition fee, then they are actually paying for an unlimited amount of credits.
Yeah.
So in that sense, what sometimes happens if students feel they lack breeding experience, or because they say, some of my classmates, they are quicker they have more a picture in their head of what is plant breeding because they work at companies. Can't I already start with my internship during the second year, for example? And that's then possible, because if you can do the internship in a part-time fashion and do the rest of the courses in a part-time fashion, that really fits.
Yeah.
But I think the tuition fee for the non-European countries, you have to take a little bit care that you're not obtaining too many credits, because
per year,
then they say, you're actually a full-time student now, so you have to pay even more tuition fee. So.
Another question, how many students in average do take this program yearly?
About 15, I have to say, so something like that. So it's still a quite compact group where you will have get to know your fellow students very well. Yeah. Even in this online fashion. So
so that's really an added value, that the group is not too big.
Yeah.
Another question, I've seen in the website that you also offer a breeding for professional course, which is 5 modules. I guess this is a more practical approach than this master, is that right? Is it possible to start this one first and then continue with the master, or are they 2 completely different things?
Well, they are not completely they are completely different in the sense that this self-study modules, they are in total, they are only 5 credits. And this program that we're talking about here is 120 credits. So that's a huge size difference. But all the modules, all the 5, no, that's not true. Several of those self-study modules, they are also used in this program. So they are the same level, but there's less supervision, and you work through them completely individually. That's the difference.
Yeah, and it's only the very early part of the master's program that is covered by these modules. Yeah. Another question from Sue. I already hold a master from a German university and currently still enrolled as a PhD student, also at a German university. Would it still be possible to apply for a master at WUR, and what would the fees be? So then the European tuition fee would apply, because you completed this master in Germany and not in the Netherlands. So the European tuition fee of about €2,000 would apply to your situation. Another question on tuition fees, do I pay fees in advance per year or monthly?
Yeah, usually in advance per year.
Yeah, it's usually paid in advance per year.
If that's really a problem, I think it can also be done in parts. Like
but not monthly, probably.
Not monthly,
I think maybe 4 installments per year or something.
Something like that.
Yeah. Another question from Mohan. Is the program easier for the freshers that's without working experience? The courses are the same, so it depends more on your background knowledge.
It depends, easier than what?
Yeah, easier than what?
Not easier than on campus, I think.
No.
It's the same.
The content and the level of the online master are similar to the courses of the regular on-campus master in plant sciences, plant breeding.
Yeah.
So,
and there a large proportion of the student doesn't have work experience in a breeding company.
So maybe the working experience can make things slightly easier. But
Yeah.
Yeah, it also depends on the courses that you took before.
Yeah.
Okay, I already have a master's degree, but not from a Dutch university. If I understand correctly, the tuition fee that applies to me is that's the European fee. We just explained that.
Yeah.
So that's correct.
And Tim also has a question.
Yeah.
So he's probably from the Netherlands or from Europe. He says, yeah, I'm paying the full tuition fee, but I only have half the education during 1 year.
That has to do with Dutch regulations for tuition fees. So the actual fee of master's programs, full-time modus, is I think currently about 18,000 euros per year.
Yeah.
And the EU tuition fees are heavily subsidized by the Dutch government.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they can't be lower for students than 2,000 euros per year. So that's a legal requirement that we have to obey to.
Yeah. So indeed, Tim, it's like that.
Yeah, it's like that. We can't make it different. And then I think
the last one.
Yeah.
About the Premaster.
Can you explain more about Premaster? Yeah, basically, the Premaster requirement depends on the content of the bachelor that you completed. If some essential knowledge is missing in your bachelor, then the admission board will spot that and recommend a Premaster if it's only a slight amount of knowledge that needs to be added. Premasters are always designed on an individual basis, so we don't have a standard Premaster for everyone. So that's also whether there's not much detailed information on the website on Premasters. So I think if you really want to know more about the need for a Premaster in your specific situation, that you contact us by email, because this is really a very individual-based question that is difficult to answer in general.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, or just apply for the master and see.
Yeah, that's the other option. Just apply for the master, and then the admission committee will look into your personal file and decide whether in your specific situation a Premaster is needed or not. True. Yeah, so I think that's about it. No more questions coming in.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks again for joining us for this webinar. I hope we answered your questions and provided you with valuable information on this online master's program. And yeah, if questions pop up after this webinar, then you can always contact us through the website or by email for further details or with further questions. So thanks for your attention, and yeah, maybe we may welcome you at some point in time for this online master. So
yeah. Thanks for being with us, and well, hope to see you online.